Keep it real simple, bring everything right back to ground zero, 'cause it all comes down to this: love God and love people. We're living in a world that
Hey there, my friends. I'm so thankful that I have an opportunity to give you a little update on the Corona world and how it applies to Renew Community Church. And so first of all, I want to tell you some things that we know. And the first thing I will say, the thing that we know, is that our current process, I think, is generally working pretty well. We open our doors about 10 minutes before the service begins, and people are coming in, getting to their seats, all of that. It's super good. We've shut down the drinking fountains, little things like that. All of that's working well. We are asking people to leave as soon as the service is over and go hang out in the parking lot. That way we have time to sanitize everything and make sure everything is cleaned up after any time that we're in the building. Now, here's what I also know. Some people are not coming because we're not wearing masks, or we're not forcing people to wear masks. Just at the same time, some people are coming because we have not enforced it up to this point. And so it's just one of those weird things. But we know that people are all over the place. Thankfully, though, either way, to our knowledge, Corona has not had any direct transmission within our church community. I have heard nothing of it, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm also sure that you know that the governor recently has come out with some requests for help, and that would include from churches. He's requested that we do our part in masking up, and so Renew and all of the nation is divided on that one. I mean, that's just as simple as I can say it, that we're divided on this issue. And so I want to address it as your pastor. I want to address it as your shepherd, as your friend. I want to address it because we need to make sure that we're on the same page. And so here's where I am. We are going to make sure that we post the new mandates. We're going to post it up on the door so everybody can see when they come in. If you have any question whatsoever, I just want to encourage you to go and read those things. We will also provide masks. We have done this at times, but we're going to consistently make sure we have masks outside and just inside the entry at our building if you need one. Now, I did spend some time talking to my personal physician, who is also a friend, as well as talking to my wife, who is a nurse practitioner, and I've talked to both of them, and they both believe that masks are important. And I will tell you, as a biologist, I agree. Now, some of you may not know that as my background, but it is who I am, and we have spent a lot of time. Please understand that that's the truth. We have all spent time and are educated in this world, and we've done our research on the matter, and we think that we have a very clear understanding, the best that we can anyway, because of course there's lots of confusion, and especially over masks. I mean, the research out there right now on mask effectiveness is all over the place, and if you want an opinion to agree with you, you can certainly find it. The debate is all over social media and the news and all that, but the truth is the finer points of this battle are probably never actually going to be resolved, or at least not for a while. And I will tell you then, from a purely biological perspective, I think it's fair to take a more careful path instead of a less careful path. Now, other things come up that I need to address, and that is, I am not personally worried that if people wear masks for a while that it is going to cripple everybody's immune system. I just don't believe that, but I am confident that masks can help. They can help with the spread of bacteria and viruses, not just a corona thing, but influenza and strep and all of that. And yes, I also want to acknowledge the death rate on coronavirus is very, very small. But I also want to make it super personal for you, because there are people here at Renew whom I love dearly, who need to be here and who want to be here. And although the big risks are not high for most of us, it is really dangerous for some. It is really dangerous based on immune system or illnesses or whatever it is. There are some real serious struggles. And so to purposefully protect some of them is an act of love. After all, if I'm willing to die for someone that I love, then I have to be willing to be cautious for them as well. This just makes sense. And of course, when we talk about love, we usually are talking about agape love, which is a love of choice. It is a love of action. I'm going to do the best for you, even if you can't repay it, even if you can't do anything about it, even if I don't receive anything in return. That's what agape love is all about. And so, here's ultimately my answer for it, and that is I do want to partner with the governor on this matter in Arkansas as a means of fulfilling Romans 13:1, which says everyone must submit to governing authorities. Now let me stop there and say I have heard all the arguments on what that means and how this can't apply, but listen, sometimes the easiest approach from a biblical perspective is just to understand what is it actually saying, and we don't have to overthink some of these things. This is a very clear passage, and it is, we must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. It is okay to agree with them. We're not necessarily being forced to do anything. We can choose to agree, and it goes well for us when we do, and the Bible is clear about this. And so, but I will say, I've heard from a few of you that the idea of asking people to wear a mask or do this and that or whatever is just government overreach. But I've got to tell you, just in my own personal opinion, I just do not agree. I don't agree that it's government overreach. At this point in time, when it regards these kinds of things, I just don't think so. Now, here's the thing though, we can disagree, and we can still love one another, fellowship together, and it's okay if you disagree with me. I don't think that is an issue. In Arkansas, they are not in any way preventing us from worshiping. Now, should that day come, I think that is a different discussion, and we would have that discussion if that day were to come. But honestly, I think actually masks and wearing masks now actually helps us later, because if we can wear them now and we find something that is actually changing, there are some benefits that are happening in the community as it relates to this virus, then it really does protect our rights later, and I think this is good. So please understand that we follow mandates all day long. I know some of you just don't want to agree with any mandate coming down by the government, but we agree with mandates. We at least follow mandates all the time. For instance, we have building permits that we have to abide by. It doesn't prevent us from worshiping, but if we want to be in a building in the city, we certainly are going to have that. Just like driver's licenses, it is a right to drive. And so the question is, who gives that authority? And we don't need to get hung up there, but we agree with these mandates because almost everybody watching has a driver's license, or you get a hunting license, or we're just obedient to traffic laws, at least hopefully for the most part, and paying taxes, etc. There are mandates all day long that we follow, that we don't get hung up on, and this is good. And so we are going to officially follow the request and ask you to wear a mask when you are in the building. However, if you can't, you can't. I mean, that's the most simple answer for you. And here's the thing, we're not going to have someone making you justify why you can't. If you can't, you can't. But we do want to follow this mandate, this request. I personally, the way that it's worded for churches, I think it's much more of a request than anything. But I do want us at Renew to follow this request, to follow this mandate. And again, if you can't, you can't. And you don't have to justify it to me. Again, I think this is ultimately a means of love and self-sacrifice, of grace, of understanding for those that really desperately need it in this season, okay? I also want to say this isn't necessarily a permanent decision. We're going to continue to look at this as life unfolds and changes. You know as well as I do, things change week to week these days. And as things change, we're going to make necessary adjustments as we go through it. And so here's the last things I want to say to you, and that is I am begging you literally to not cause division over this. I am confident that there are hundreds of you that are thrilled that this is where we are. I'm also confident that there are hundreds of you that will be angry or frustrated about it. And I'm also confident that there are hundreds of people that do not care either way. They're just happy to be able to get to the building. And I'm confident also that it is really, truly impossible for me to make everyone happy. But understand, it's actually not my job to make anyone happy. That is not my job description at all. My job is to love, it is to lead, it is to train and teach, it is to evangelize and equip Christians for ministry. That's what our job is, and this is no different. This is part of that opportunity. And so I just want to say, let's not lose focus on the things that are really, really important to the kingdom, important for eternity, because above all else, we are called to love one another. We love God with the entirety of who we are, and we love one another well. We love our neighbor, and by doing this, we're going to show the unbelieving world who God is and who Jesus is and who the church was always called to be. And so let's make sure that we remember salvation hangs in the balance, and that our goal right now is to be unified, even if we don't agree, but to be unified and love people so well that when people see our love for one another, they will know that we are disciples of Jesus. All right, well, that's our update for now. I love you. I'm thankful for you. I just want to encourage you, if you're frustrated or if you're angry or even if you're happy, just pray about it. Let's pray about it. Let's think about it, and let's do what we can do right now in this season, because I'm confident there's a time we'll look back on this and go, wow, what a weird thing. But that's down the road. Right now, we are living in the moment. We do the best that we can, but as we keep our mind focused on heaven, it allows us to keep our mind focused on love and agape, doing the best for someone when they don't deserve it. Let's do that together in unity, all right? Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Gotta keep it real simple, bring everything right back to ground zero, 'cause it all comes down to this: love God and love people. We're living in a world that keeps breaking, but if we wanna find a way to change it, it all comes down to this: love God and love people. 'Cause love is patient, love is kind, rescues hearts and changes lives. Love is